Hello and welcome, Warhammer fans, to my video on the Reclamation of 8 Peaks. It's been a long time coming, but it's finally here. The Time of Woes is a large section of Warhammer history to tackle, with little in the way of personal account other than the demi-canon novels that can contradict established canon. However, the Reclamation of 8 Peaks, just as the Fall of 8 Peaks, is very well documented. In fact, I scripted over half of the video, however the other half I'll be reading excerpts out of Grudge Lore, A History of Grudges in the Great Realm of the Dwarfs, by Nick Kime and Gav Thorpe. If you know anything about Black Library authors, you know those two. Now, the Time of Woes ended when King Kurgan Ironbeard was saved by Sigmar Heldenhammer after he had been captured by Greenskins, negative 15 years before the current calendar began. It is well known what happened next. When the Manlings led by Sigmar and the dwarf forces led by Kurgan Ironbeard, who proved on the battlefield that he was not to be trifled with, smashed the largest greenskin horde in recorded history, under the command of Urgluk Bloodfang. So began the Age of Silver, where the dwarf holds, though they are not as powerful as they were in the Elder Days, had gained more prosperity and strength, and had regained their dominion over most of the world's edge mountains. But as time went on and the millennia sailed past, one grudge weighed on the minds of the Dawi: the loss of Carrick 8 Peaks. The greatest loss dwarfdom had ever suffered, or would ever suffer. The holds from all 8 mountains were overrun with filthy greenskins and rotten Skaven. Since its fall, many adventurous dwarfs, and even adventurers from the Empire, have attempted to delve into the deep of the Lost Kingdom and regain its treasures, though few seldom return. But though the hold of 8 Peaks was ended, the line of kings was not. King Lun of 8 Peaks did not die there, and instead led his people into the Grey Mountains to settle in Karak Izor, and from there Clan Angrand awaited their time to reclaim their ancestral home. Some sources claim King Lun traveled to Karak Azul, and indeed a large contingent of dwarves from there following Thoric Ironbrow shows up to aid in the reclamation. However, for the sake of the video, I have chosen the canon given by other sources, including the Total War game, so Karak Izor it is. The latest in this line of exiled kings descended from Lun was Belegar Ironhammer, born Belegar of Angrand, a renowned warrior and clan leader whose fury is legendary and whose wrath is unrelenting. In 2420 of the current timeline, Belegar, an army of his Angrand brethren, and Dawi recruited from Karazakarak itself marched from the Dwarven capital. As stated, he is accompanied by a legendary rune lord, Thoric Ironbrow, and his throng of dwarves. When the throngs of Belegar, Thoric, those from Karazakarak, and various warriors from other holds gather together, they are estimated to number 4,000 dwarfs to this scholar's estimate. Though their numbers are limited, no other dwarf army today could claim to be so like the dwarf armies of old as this, as each dwarf is outfitted with master-crafted runic weaponry and armor as they had been in the Elder Days. When they venture forth, they take the north road into the hold, and there is a brief but ferocious battle against an army of Grabi at the gates. Before the fighting began, Belegar and his Dawi, along with Thoric, see the gates of Vala Azrelungol adorned with the heads of brave dwarf adventurers that were killed trying to brave the deeps of the Lost Road. Not only that, but foul Grabi filth and crude ornaments cover the once respectable dwarf architecture. Once the dwarfs are spotted, a horn sounds, and crazed goblins wielding iron balls and chains, wild beyond reason, attack the dwarf lines in a berserker attack. They are swiftly shot down by crossbow bolts, though so insane is their attack that more than a few of the leading dwarfs are killed or maimed by the insane Grabi. Boulders are then launched at the dwarf throng from shoddy machinery set atop the watchtowers and curtain wall of the keep. The pass is narrow, and many Dawi are crushed by the falling boulders, but Belegar and his throng are only emboldened by their anger at the Grabi daring to assault them. Those that survive shrug off their wounds, and along with the undamaged dwarfs, storm the citadel walls with a trail of greenskin bodies in their wake. They make it into the citadel itself, and on this day the dwarfs not only regain the hold, but no greenskin escapes their fury. Every goblin and orc in the hold is butchered, as none are left alive. Belegar wastes no time, as he is a shrewd commander along with being an indomitable warrior. He orders Vala Azrelungol refortified, and every tunnel leading below sealed save one. The Dawi also reclaim the infamous East Gate and the valley that lies at the center of the 8 Peaks, though they are harassed by Grabi often. Still, this small band of Dawi succeeded where hundreds, if not thousands, had failed over the millennia. exiled King Belegar now earns the name Belegar Ironhammer, Lord of 8 Peaks. King Belegar immediately sends scouts below, through the only tunnel that is not sealed. Of the 3 patrols that enter the lower deeps, only 1 returns. They bring grave news of Skaven and Greenskins fighting among each other in overwhelming numbers. King Belegar hereby orders a grudge for the deaths of the 2 scouting parties. The deaths of Badri Grimson, Crud Ironspike, Gorham Jorgson, Finnbull Stoneback, Scally Trollbiter, Vragni Yorison, and Mundri Skalfinson are to be avenged, their names forever etched in the Khron. It was as the Dawi were finalizing their defenses that King Belegar Ironhammer received word from his sentries that they were under siege by a force of countless greenskins. For you see, in the lower deeps, unbeknownst and admittedly unimportant to the Dawi, was that 2 warlords had taken residence in 8 Peaks, waging a war that saw the deaths of tens of thousands of greenskins and Skaven annually in a mass slaughter that even Khorne himself would be proud of. And the upper reaches of 8 Peaks was under the watchful eye of one of the warlords, Skarsnik, the Night Goblin chieftain known for his cruelty and cunning. Many years had he fought the hordes of the dreaded Skaven Queek Headtaker, and soon Belegar would find a worthy rival in both. But for now, Skarsnik had gotten reports that his outpost above the surface had been butchered, and he threw tens of thousands of orcs and goblins at the newly settled dwarfs, hoping to sweep them aside with a show of force. But as the Grobby attack, they die in their thousands, a green wave that crashes against the wall of dwarf steel. As their axes hew the necks of goblins and orcs alike, and crossbow bolts pierce into the ranks of the horde, Thoric Ironbrow's runic hammer, Clad Brakak, can be heard slamming into his anvil of doom, an ancient weapon of tremendous magical power channeled by runes. Lightning cracks into the greenskin hordes, killing dozens with each bolt. The rocks break and more Grobby die, and none can make it through the impenetrable defenses of the Dawi. The dwarfs hold steadfast and beat back all attacks, and in fact the dwarfs even push forward into the relentless tides of monsters, reclaiming much of the first deep below the citadel, though the dwarfs soon realize they haven't the numbers to continue their advance, or to patrol much more than the first deep, and their raid soon slowed to a halt. Skarsnik withdraws. His attack, though massive, is merely a probe to test Belegar's defenses. It was at this time in 2498 of the current calendar that King Belegar opens his hold for adventurers and daring heroes to enter the citadel, to travel below the first deep if they sought treasure, provided they give a tax of 1/10 of the treasures they find to Belegar, sworn by oath before they delve into the depths of the earth. The first band is a group of men from the Empire, who come to honor a debt of ages long past. They make it past the Barak Katul, or Gate of Lurking Dangers, which is the gate leading past the first deep, only to never be seen again. More explorers go into the dark, and many continue to disappear. Fatagrim of 8 Peaks, one of the friends of Belegar, decides to explore below. He is notable for being one of the more successful explorers, returning from the lower deeps with tales of a vast treasure and a brooding evil lurking beneath the dark of the world. Upon hearing of Faragrim's experiences, the adventurers come in their hundreds to brave this evil and become wealthy through their valor. For at least 7 years, King Belegar keeps the roads open for adventurers. In 2505, a famous troll slayer named Gotrek, son of Gurney, and his human companion Felix Jaeger, along with a small band of manlings, are granted permission to enter the Barak Katul by King Belegar to brave the dark. Gotrek Gurnison survived the experience, having slain a mighty troll, accompanied by one other survivor, his rememberer Felix, who claimed an ancient runic blade of his ancestors. King Belegar allows Felix to leave without taxation, in recognition of Gotrek's deeds and old oaths sworn by Kurgan Ironbeard. Within the next year, the citadel is besieged. Urk and Grobby swell about the city walls of 8 Peaks in vast numbers. At the behest of Queen Kemma, does King Belegar order a missive sent immediately to Karaza Kurak to petition for aid. He sends a small force of rangers, may Grungni guide and protect them, through a hidden tunnel that leads out into the western slopes where the greenskin hordes are at their thinnest. The letter is found by Duragar, a notable dwarf lord and thane, and a trusted ally to King Belegar. The battle that follows is within months of the missive sent, named the Battle of the Jaws. Written in the Clan Angrund Book of Grudges of Duragar Hammerfist, Lord of Karaza Kurak. Lord Duragar Hammerfist and a throng of his kin are attacked this day at the western entrance to Varak Kadrin. The king is traveling south from Karazakarak, word reaching him that his clan brother King Belegar is besieged at Eight Peaks. Grobby riding wolves do engage the rear lines of the dwarf column, and some stragglers are slain. Their names will be written in the Book of Remembering. Quickly does King Duragar marshal his forces as a vast army of Urk emerge from the tunnels in the steep-sided valley. Runesmith Hergar the Black does smite 200 greenskins with his hammer. A band of slayers led by Doran Badaxe destroys a large group of Urk and stone trolls. Wolf riders harrying the flanks of the throng are brought down by quarrelers. A charge of some 30 clan warriors, led by Lord Duragar himself, breaks the back of the Grobby horde, who are sent fleeing into the rocky hills of the valley. The rest of the way eastward along the pass is made without further incident. Duragar reaches the east gate. Leaving Varak Kadrin behind and traveling southwards, Lord Duragar does reach the east gate of Karak Eight Peaks at the end of Uzkul Kadrin, and is ambushed. Showing unnatural cunning, the Grobby and Urk encircle the Lord. What follows is a detailed account of the battle, as transcribed from Lord Duragar's personal journal. First sight of the Grobby was upon the East Gate watchtower. The foul creatures had rebuilt it with rudimentary craft and stationed a war engine of equally coarse design upon it. Before the East Gate itself, the cave Grobby massed in great numbers, supported by Urk. The throng was making ready to face this foe when a debased war cry echoed across the valley. From the north and south, through the old mine workings of the peak and the ravaged tombs of my ancestors. Curse the greenskin scum for their sacrilege. A second and third horde, at first concealed by rocks, poured into the narrow defile, cave Grobby driving wretched fanged creatures and firing black-shafted arrows into our ranks. Bori, son of Thagi, was the first to fall. Yet before the death rasp had escaped his lips, the throng had been surrounded as a fourth army from the east blocked off our only line of retreat. It mattered not. No dwarf will give ground to Grobby swine. So swears Duragar Hammerfist. The east-facing greenskin swiftly closed the trap, Urk riding boars and lumbering stone trolls advancing at speed. From the watchtower the Grobby set their machinery to work, sending huge chunks of stone into our ranks. Many perished in this first onslaught. From the west, north, and south the cave Grobby charged, unleashing crazed ball-and-chain-wielding maniacs into our ranks. Such demented war tactics. These wretched creatures took a toll on both Grobby and Dawi before they were brought down by bolt and shot. All around us the battle raged, one Dawi for every 4 Grobby. The throng was relentless and greenskin corpses littered the ground, but for every one slain another 3 would rush to take its place. Such numbers! Black arrows filled the air, striking down greenskin and clan warriors alike. In this first assault the throng had lost half its strength or more, so I led our forces to a great burial mound of the ancestors. Here we would make our final stand. There was no respite, as the Grobby and Urk surrounded us, and I thought the battle was to go ill for us when the East Gate exploded. Praise Grungni, for out of the smoke emerged my clan brother, King Belegar, and the throng of Vala Azrulungal, now noted in the Book of Grudges, the rescue of Duragar Hammerfist. On this day, a great victory was won by King Belegar of the Eight Peaks and Lord Duragar Hammerfist against the Grobby swine of Skarsnik. What follows is a record of the battles as writ by our noble king in his memoirs. From the high towers of the citadel did our warriors SB clan brother Duragar heading into the Grobby's trap. Thagi! Had I the means to forewarn him, I would have. Instead, I mustered the Dawi of the Eight Peaks and went stealthily to the East Gate. The cave Grobby had placed a rear guard there, but it was swiftly and mercilessly vanquished before any warning could be given to the rest of their foul breed. Dragging aside the stinking corpses of the enemy, engineers and sappers quickly set about rigging the great East Gate with black powder. The Grobby would feel the fury of Grungni at their backs soon enough. Though the gate was thick and broad, and it did cause me much lamentation to destroy it, the sounds of battle could be heard. No longer could I bear it, and, our forces making ready with old grudges upon our lips, I did order the powder lit. A great explosion rocked the very peaks, and into battle did the Dawi of Eight Peaks sally forth once more. All around us the Grobby were in disarray, and I sung the songs of Valya, Grimnir, and Grungni as I slew. Across a sea of green-skinned blood did Belegar and Duragar unite at last, and well met it was. Now formed into a mighty square of Dawi steel, we began the slow advance back through the East Gate and from there to the safety of the city. Arrows fell amongst my kin as the Grobby regrouped. the coward warlord Skarsnik, an ever-present thorn in my side, screeching his orders from a lofty vantage point atop the valley. A frenzied pack of cave beasts, round and red with gaping maws full of fangs, did assail us, but were repelled by slayers. Many of the cult of Grimnir fulfilled their oaths in that brutal clash. Some small measure of atonement for previous misdeeds, no doubt. The fire of the ancestors in our hearts, none could slow us now, the thickness of our clad repelling the worst of the grobby arrows. And we headed west. Harried all the while, we reached the citadel at the safety of 8 Peaks at last. The 8 Peaks are reinforced. On this day is the muster of 8 Peaks bolstered with the return of Lord Durgar Hammerfist. Praise to Grungni. Though it is a moot celebration, for our numbers are few and the grobby warlord Skarsnik, curse his name, does still control much of the 8 Peaks. Belegar, liege lord of Vala Azralungal, does now occupy the entire ground level of the city and of the First Deep. The King's Chambers, the Great Hall, and a number of foundries and clan halls have all been reclaimed. Lamenta Valia, as the mines do remain sealed, the Ratkin and other fouler creatures, an ever-present threat to our safety and freedom. In the Great Hall a mighty throng is gathered, the Grimnir Miners' Chorus and the Baldrickson Brewers in attendance, as the fall of the southern holds does resonate about 8 Peaks once more. The forces of 8 Peaks are again bolstered today by clans, once of 8 Peaks in ages past, from Karak Azul, Karazakarak, and the Umgdawi. King Belegar does hereby strike out grudges against the Dourback, Craghand, Gutrick, Ironfinger, and Flintheart clans. The return to 8 Peaks is deemed as fair recompense for the early transgressions of their ancestors in abandoning the hold. The underway is reopened. At last the Undgrin road to our brothers in the south at Karak Azul is reopened after several successful Ironbreaker expeditions to thin out the grobby and Ratkin nested there. A mighty Gorog takes place in the Great Hall, and it is a day of rare celebration in these bleak times. Alas, the way to the north in Karazdraz is still not safe and remains sealed. Ambush at Death Pass. 3 shipments of gold, kindly donated by the High King of Everpeak, failed to arrive this day, and concerns grow as to what has become of the Dawi escorting them. I, King Belegar, dare not risk an expedition of rangers into the pass for fear of them sharing the same fate. Grim times are these. Our allies lessen as our enemies become bolder. There are no more warriors, and our gold is all but exhausted. No more settlers come to our halls. We are alone. Each day is a bitter struggle to survive. We must contest these halls, fight for them until we have given the last of our breath. We must prevail. For if not us, then who? The light is growing ever darker, though. I fear it will soon be eclipsed utterly. And that is the tale of the Reclamation of 8 Peaks. Still nestled in dark times, but a stout recounting of dwarf valor.